Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to do something that is always associated in my mind with holidays in Greece a long time ago. I'm going to make moussaka. But before I do that, I need to give a shout out to a new Patreon patron, Ashura Izumi, and a couple of donors on PayPal, Adrienne and John Glynn. Fritterman. And also a shout out to a very small YouTube channel that, well, it's called Canning with Knick-Knack, and I was commanded to do this by Brenda Rigdon, and as you know, Brenda, your wish is my command. Go and have a look at Canning with Knick-Knack, and it's all about preserving and, you know, things like that. And if you like it, subscribe, tell her I sent you. And then you can proudly call yourself a knick-knacker. How's that? So, moussaka, associated with Greece, but it's not exclusive to Greece. All around that Eastern Mediterranean area and the Levant, they have similar dishes. But, you know, it's basically the same kind of components. It's a vegetable, in this case, aubergine or eggplant, sometimes potatoes, sometimes zucchini or courgettes. And then a layer of meat and tomato sauce, and then a wobbly white sauce on top, of bechamel sauce, and it's baked and it's delicious, and I'm going to make it, so let's do it. And if you like this video, don't forget, give it a like, share, subscribe, make a donation, become a patron, all that lovely stuff. Thank you. Right, ingredients for the meaty tomato sauce. I've got half a kilo of minced lamb, ground lamb, a can of peeled plum tomatoes. I thought I got chopped ones, ho-hum. A couple of smallish medium onions and a glass of red wine and maybe a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and salt and pepper to taste, and a couple of aubergines that we'll need later, but we need to get the sauce going first. So the meat, us Brits, we always think it's got to be lamb, but apparently this is not the case. In Greece it's more likely to be veal or a mix of veal and pork, or, you know, even beef. Go figure. But we can't easily get veal in this country, and, you know, if you can, it's very expensive, so lamb is how we do it. Okay, so I need to peel and chop my onions. And I've got a frying pan on medium heat, and I'm going to put a good glug of olive oil in there and pop the onions in. We just want to saute these for about 5 minutes, get them a bit browned. And while they're browning, I'm going to slice my aubergines, about 6mm, quarter of an inch, and then we're going to salt them to draw the moisture out. Okay, the onions are looking a bit brown, so I'm going to pop the meat in, break that up and spread it around, and we want that to get browned all over. So the aubergine, that looks plenty, but I'm going to do the other one anyway, because if I don't use it, I know somebody who loves aubergine, and it's not me, but she lives in this house and she'll eat it anyway, in a sandwich or something. So the meat's all browned all over, and I'm going to chuck the vino in and bring that to the boil, because we want the alcohol to evaporate. We don't really, but that's what happens. Ooh, bay leaf, forgot. In the jar marked clear honey. Don't ask. And while we're at it, a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now we'll pop the tomatoes in. The whole ones that I forgot to chop. Oh well. I can sort of chop them in the pan. Just let that cook for a little bit. Then I'll season it with salt and ground black pepper. And we'll have a taste. Ooh. Tomato is very bitter. I'll let that cook for a bit longer and mess about with it. Meanwhile, we'll sprinkle salt on our aubergine slices. think you do need to do this with moussaka. You don't have to do it always with every dish, but because the aubergine gets fried or baked, it really absorbs a lot of oil. It can absorb an almost limitless amount. I don't know where it goes, but in the end it just makes it greasy and slimy and horrible. I'm just going to add 1/4 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, which reduces the acidity and hopefully will fix the flavour. But you want to be careful not to add too much of this stuff because it doesn't taste nice. And if you can taste it, then you spoiled it in a different way. So let's kind of cook through and let's taste it again. Yeah, that's fixed. That's nice, mellow. So I'll turn this down a bit and let it simmer for about another 20 minutes. So that's 30 to 40 minutes altogether. So you can see the water droplets on the surface, and I'm going to rinse those off and sort this out. I've got my oven preheating to 140 degrees Celsius because it's a fan oven. That's 160 for a conventional one, and I haven't the faintest idea what it is for gas. Sorry. Now I've rinsed all the salt and the liquid off the aubergine slices, and now I'm just patting them dry with some kitchen paper. And I'll turn the meat sauce off because that looks done. Now I've got some olive oil in a bowl, and I'm just going to paint each slice of aubergine both sides and stick it on this wire rack over a baking sheet. A lot of cooks will just fry these, but I find that, you know, as I said before, they will endlessly soak up oil. But if you bake them, then they when it runs out, they stop and they sort of go a bit crispy, and they're nice. Right, these are all fully oiled up, so I'm going to whack them in the oven. For about 15 minutes, till they're sort of a bit golden and cooked. Okay, now I'm going to make the bechamel sauce for the topping. So I've got ½ litre of milk, about 200 grams of cheese, that's cheddar, authentically Greek. I'll be using about 50 grams of flour and 50 grams of butter. That's my own homemade butter. What a show off I am. And a teaspoon of nutmeg, ½ teaspoon of ground white pepper, and as much salt as it needs. So first thing to do is melt the butter in a saucepan. And now sift in some flour, about the same amount as you had butter. So I'll make a sort of thick paste known as a roux, but you knew that. And now we add the milk and stir it in well. Let it come to the boil and then turn it down to simmer. So it's bubbling away, I've just turned it down. Seasonings, approximately a teaspoon of nutmeg, ½ teaspoon of white pepper, the secret ingredient that I forgot to mention, which is a teaspoon of mustard. I've just turned it down, but it's glooping away. Oh yeah, definitely needs a bunch of salt. Actually, I shouldn't have put the salt in yet because I need to put the cheese in. So I'll put the cheese in and see what happens. It's okay, pinch more salt. Yeah, that's fine. So turn it off, and the aubergines, I don't know, I think I had the oven too low, so I turned it up 20 degrees. Okay, let's get the aubergines out. Not the wonderful golden things I wanted, but anyway, they'll do. Now I've got the oven preheating to 200 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, 220 for a conventional one, and that's gas mark 8. And I've got this casserole dish which I've buttered generously on the inside, and I'm going to put a layer of aubergine plant in the bottom. Lots of them, because Mrs. KeefCooks loves aubergine. And here's the meaty sauce, and there's the bay leaf, which we don't want. So I'll put half the meaty sauce on top of that aubergine layer. Get that nice and flat, and then another layer of aubergine. Well, I thought I'd done too much aubergine, but I haven't. That's exactly the amount I needed, so that's cool. Now layer the rest of the meat sauce on top of that. There we go. And finally, the cheesy bechamel sauce, which smells of nutmeg and comfort. And this goes in the oven for 35 minutes. There we go. So there's our moussaka. It's a little bit burnt on top, but don't tell anybody. As you can see, bubbling away, and you can't touch this for at least half an hour. Okay, taste test time with Mrs. KeefCooks.
Hi, darling.
Hey, look.
Hi, everybody.
So this looks horrible because I've just microwaved it and it melted. Well, you know, it had set into a nice block, and then
I love moussaka.
I've unset it, as it were.
So here we are again, eating things and saying, yum, do it yourself.
Have to give the people what they want.
Shall we wave bye-bye? Have our dinner. It's been a long day. On camera.
Well, that was pretty hopeless. That's very nice.
Death by moussaka. There you go.
Okay.
You need to sit down.
I
You
do.
need to sit down.
Yeah, well, lie down. Do the thing.
Cool then.
Right. Thanks for watching.
I thought you were going to do all the words.
I've done the words
Have you
before.
done the words?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks for watching, and see you next time.